Jeff, we've had, what, 3 or 4 different mortgage rule changes over the past couple of years. Do you think they've done enough? Do you think the government's going to throw some more curveballs into qualifying for mortgages?
I think if you read the press every day, you think there's going to be more to come. I think just further to Jared's point, I think one of the things that makes us talk much more about there's going to be rule changes or that the government is concerned about mortgage debt is because of what transpired south of the border a few years ago. It's carried on some legs in terms of our press. But secondarily, if we actually believe that consumers' attitudes about spending and credit cards are more at the heart of the issue, we have to recognize that the federal government at least has some influence via its ownership in CMHC to influence people's lives through mortgage debt where they don't have that same level of influence on credit cards.
I think we're, as a collective voice, we've been able to chat with the finance minister, and I think he's quite comfortable right now with the way things are, and really not planning on making any more changes. That's what I've heard anyway. So
yeah, I think there's a lot of speculation, and I think to your point, I think there's been a number of changes in qualifying rules on rentals with reductions in amortizations and maximum on the refinance. From my perspective, I know a mortgage is not bad debt; it's the consumer debt that's the bad debt.
Right.
And in many cases, doing a refinance on a mortgage is a way to clean up some of that bad debt. I think from my perspective, the issue is that the consumer debt products, the credit cards, aren't regulated at all. And you can go get a $20,000 limit without proving income. If you've got a decent credit score, you're basically approved same day, no questions asked. From my perspective, I think that's probably where the government should be looking, is to look at regulating things like credit cards and actually being able to prove your income if you want to get a $20,000 limit on a credit card. That, to me, makes more sense, because I think that will create sort of a control on, from my perspective, what the issue is, which is the bad debt, not the good debt.
Who is the expert here on this panel on the provincial budget that was just chatted about Monday, I think, was it?
Yeah, I think by accident we've all learned a lot in the last couple of days, because we had some, I think everybody who picked up the Vancouver Sun business section yesterday saw a front page article about the first-time home buyers bonus for people that were going to be buying new homes within the next year.
Let's clarify that.
Yeah.
We all thought one thing, and apparently now it's something else.
Yeah, I think, well, some of the language in that article and some of the other things that came out reference something called a tax credit. So everybody has this impression of what a tax credit is. And then, with further investigation, we actually came to learn that really what the provincial government was trying to do for the BC home builders is make up for that period of uncertainty about what they were going to do about HST for this last year in terms of the transition. So they're giving those first-time homebuyers an incentive to buy a new home within the next 12 months by basically applying for a cash back right from the government. So we haven't seen the application form yet. We don't know exactly what the process will be. We do know that to be eligible, you have to buy a new home within a certain time window. And I think we're going to probably put there actually is a fact sheet that's on the BC Ministry finance site that I think we should get on the MBA site for people to reference. But it actually speaks to who's eligible and what kind of home they have to buy and any sort of caveats. But it generally is, as good as it sounded. We thought for a while maybe it wasn't, but I think we found that maybe it's pretty attractive for that first-time home buyer.
A check is actually going to be written?
That's the impression that we have today. We didn't yesterday. By midday, we thought it was a tax credit on your BC taxes. But no, it sounds much more like it's going to be money coming back to you to incent people to enter into a contract to purchase that new home.
So are we going to see a mad dash now to buy a new?
We hope so.
New homes?
Certainly hope so.
Condos?
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, I think one of the key things is when we talk about affordability, I mean, which is an issue on that side, and not getting off topic on that, but if you really look at the condo market, is very affordable, and that's where the first-time home buyer should be very much looking. I mean, and if you're looking at the condo market, is very affordable. And same if you're, the downtown core for buying a real estate, yes, housing in Vancouver is very expensive. Everyone agrees on that part of it. So you have to go to other areas outside if you want to buy land and real estate, such as the South Fraser Valley area, Maple Ridge, South Surrey, White Rock, and on that side, just parts of Surrey. But if you really look at it for first-time home buyers, condos are very good affordable for monthly payments and a lot cheaper than being rent right now for a two-bedroom.
There was a second part of the announcement too, which was relating to the HST rebate limit.
Right,
and so previously it was a limit up to $525,000. There was a rebate, and that limit has gone from $525,000 up to $850,000. I did quick math. If you were previously doing a house purchase at $850,000, your HST bill would be $75,000. With the new rule change, that takes it from 75 down to about 59,500. So it knocks about, at the 850,000 level, it knocks about $15,000 off the tax bill.
Well, I know it's going to be a different mindset, because oftentimes when people are out there looking, they don't want a new, don't want a new, I don't want to deal with all the things, you know, that
Yeah.
go along with the new. So it's going to open up a whole sort of segment of the market.
Well, and
that we
especially
haven't.
now that we have a sort of an end date for the HST, which is April of next year. And I think,
That's right.
you know, with knowing that, a lot of buyers potentially would have held off until April. And so I think the government's recognized that they don't want to stall the market for another year. So they put these measures in place, both for first-time buyers and you know, extending the limit for everybody, to try to keep that market going while we kind of transition out of the HST for a year.
We always think, when we think about new homes, of you know, because we're basically a multifamily city, there's still a big number of new homes that are brought to market by smaller builders, single family.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, 5% on an 850 purchase, or the difference between 5 1/4 and 850. I mean, it's a huge amount of money in
Right.
tax.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how some of those builders who are midway through, you know, spec construction homes or custom homes, how they're going to deal with their pricing strategy, knowing that that client is no longer going to have to pay the same level of tax. So I think we're going to be seeing some interesting things happening in the market as a result of some of these changes to taxation.
Perfect.